Hats off to entrepreneurs. You bring value to our community by creating jobs and building wealth. Aspire Enterprise of Florida is your premier one-stop resource for strategic business coaching, business trainings, and business services. Our elite team of business professionals have over 30 years of expertise to serve small business owners, not-for-profit organizations, and individuals. Aspire Enterprise, where your needs are our priority.
We need judges who work hard, have experience, integrity, and proven service to our community. Donna Greer was born and raised in Jacksonville, Florida, and got through college and law school at the University of Florida with scholarships and part-time jobs. Donna chose to make our community her home and began serving us in 1995 when she joined the state attorney's office prosecuting crimes for more than a decade, helping to keep our families and our community safe. Donna Greer opened her own office in Altamont Springs in 2007 where she fought for people just like you in civil and criminal cases. She helped families keep their homes during the 2008 foreclosure crisis and has recovered more than $250,000 for families in personal injury cases. She has defended criminal cases and represented juveniles. She was also a certified family mediator and knows how to address divorces, child custody, child support, time sharing, and alimony issues. Donna Greer has tried hundreds of cases before judges and juries across Central Florida and has been awarded for her outstanding trial skills. She is board certified in criminal trial law and is one of only 443 attorneys in the state of Florida who hold this distinction. This vast experience places Donna Greer in the unique position of having litigated a wide array of legal issues on both sides of the courtroom. She knows how to balance the law on an individual basis with no bias or assumptions. She has also been a volunteer for Teen Court and has been recognized for her pro bono service to our community. Donna Greer believes in equal justice under the law, and her service to our community over the last 24 years proves it. Donna Greer has the qualities and experience to be our next circuit court judge.
Hi, my name's Donna Greer, and I approve this message.
Hi everyone, how you guys doing? My name is Lafell, and I'm running for Palm Bay City Council Seat 2. I'm running to rebuild the trust between Palm Bay resident and city government, not tax our resident out of their home, honoring the promise that the city made to firefighters and police officers, creating a fully functioning city government. And I'm asking for you on August 18, 2020, vote for Lafell for Palm Bay City Council Seat 2 because I am the change. And if you're able, I'm asking if you could please make a contribution to my campaign. The link is going to be below. You can also gather some more information about me and my campaign at www.brigiapalmbay.com.
Hi Palm Bay, I'm Medina, your candidate for mayor. With your support, when elected, we will immediately move forward to take the necessary actions to restore transparency, to restore accountability, responsibility, and the respect of our beloved city. It's evident through recent audit findings and oversights meeting in Tallahassee that our city has engaged in financial decisions that clearly have put our citizens and our financial stability at risk. The headlines of our city once promoted a city that cares, finalists for a City of the Year, and a community with a great future. Now, today, the headlines promote our city as one with escalating crime, an interchange to nowhere, mismanagement, state-imposed audits, and playgrounds closing due to equipment being unsafe. We must stop this downward spiral of our once financial secured, beautiful community. We drive through flooded roads, potholes, and traffic jams. I pledge to you as your next mayor, I will shine light on these past budgets along with the poor decisions made so we can get the answers our citizens deserve and our state leaders demand. I encourage a forensic audit of all our city operations so we can bring all these things to light. This process will not be easy, but our future and that of our children depend on each and every one of us ensuring accountability, ensuring professionalism, immediately replacing finger pointing, mismanagement, the rubber stamp process that brought this audit upon us. There are many serious questions. The business and residents of our cities deserve a government that they can trust and believe in. It is important to address these issues head on, for they've made a target of ridicule and skepticism from our surrounding neighbors and our very own residents. This will require strong leadership, transparent and sensible policy decisions, and constant commitment to ethical conduct. As mayor, my first goal will be to restore trust in our government. Government for the people, by the people. This is truly an opportunity for leadership by example. And as your mayor, I pledge to you that if I vote to approve a contract with a company to do business with our city, I will prohibit myself from receiving any future campaign funds from that said company. And I will encourage our council members to do the same. I believe as elected officials, we're held to a higher standard. The citizens of Palm Bay will be my only priority. We will address the many concerns of the finding of the state audit and encourage the open participation of our residents to provide oversight in our budget process. Hashtag the public trust. For a better Palm Bay, elect Rob Medina. May God bless you. May God continue to bless this great city we call Palm Bay. Hoorah!
Hi, my name is Randy Foster. I'm running for Palm Bay City Council Seat 3. Leadership matters. If you want a future in Palm Bay, you got to elect a leader. And I'm the only one in my race that have federal, state, and local government experience as a leader, manage budgets over millions of dollars in the federal government. Also, experience matters. We cannot take a chance with inexperienced candidates getting on the city council. I have the experience, I have the leadership to get the job done on day one. What I'm going to be focusing on is infrastructure. It's very important. We need to strengthen our infrastructure to attract major business, grow our commercial business. We need to bring jobs into Palm Bay and help our small business. And integrity. No one has the integrity I has. 25 years in law enforcement, 25 years in the military, top secret clearance, background checks, you name it. We need a council that's going to end the corruption and the back dealings in the city council. So vote randyfoster.com, and I see you in November. Thank you.
Hi, good evening, everyone, and welcome to another edition of Palm Bay Live. And with me tonight is Attorney Steve Henderson, and he's joining me live in the studio. And sir, welcome to the show.
Thank you, Kevin. Thanks for having me on. I appreciate
Great.
it.
Awesome. Thank you so much for being here. Mr. Henderson, we're going to get right into the interview tonight. We're going to ask you to tell us about yourself and why you're running for Circuit Judge Group 18.
Sure. A little bit about myself. I'm married. I have 5 children. I actually grew up on the Space Coast. My dad was an engineer for McDonnell Douglas at the Space Center. When I was in 6th grade, he got assigned a job in Japan with the Japanese space program. It's kind of a joint effort between the U.S. and the Japanese government. And it was supposed to be for 2 years. It turned into 8, so I actually graduated from high school in Japan. Our family then returned back to Cocoa Beach. I left and attended UCLA, where I got a degree in economics. I then went to the Pacific Northwest and worked in international trade for a number of years, marketing and exporting U.S. products overseas, primarily to Japan. I attended the Seattle University School of Law, where I graduated with honors. Upon graduation, I sat for and passed the Washington State Bar exam, and then flew out to Florida and took the Florida bar exam and passed that. While I was in law school, I realized that I loved, well, my initial plan with law school was I was going to go into international law or international trade type of law. But in my second year of law school, I'd taken a trial advocacy class, and I fell in love with litigation. And I recognized that I wanted to try cases and be a litigator. And I recognized that the best way to get trial experience was either to be a public defender or work as a state attorney. So I returned back to my hometown, Cocoa Beach, in 2003, and I began my legal career at the 18th Judicial Circuit Public Defender's Office. I worked there from 2003 until 2010. I tried cases ranging from DUIs to murder cases. And then in 2010, I opened up my own firm. And my wife, who's also an attorney, joined me about a year later. And our firm currently still practices criminal, but we also do family law, dependency, delinquency. I do federal defense work as well. And I also do something called Division of Administrative Hearings, or DOA cases, which is actually our third court system in Florida. That's kind of me in a nutshell about, and I know you have specific questions for me, so I'll go in more details with those questions.
Awesome. Why do you want to become a judge? Tell us that.
Well, it's interesting. I didn't, when I was in law school, I hadn't planned or even thought about being a judge. It wasn't on my mind. And as I progressed in my legal career, judges and other attorneys would routinely comment about, hey, you would make a great judge. And I never really thought about it. I thought it was just a compliment. But over the years, that was a pretty consistent thing I would hear. I've now been practicing over 17 years. So one of the issues we have is we have good judges that are retiring. For example, I'm running for Judge Roberts' seat. Judge Roberts is retiring, and so it's an open seat. So I'm not running against an incumbent. So Brevard County, and this is a circuit court seat, so it includes Seminole County, but the seat is actually going to be here in Brevard County. And Brevard County deserves exceptional judges, judges that are well-rounded, a lot of experience trying cases, and lots of life experiences. So, and I missed public service, being a public defender for 7 years, and then going into private practice. I've done well in my firm, and I'm ready to get back to the community again, even though I still do a lot of pro bono work. It's about public service to me, but most importantly, it's about ensuring that we have good judges on the bench. And, when a judge is retiring, that seat is kind of open to anybody, and the voters need to be cognizant of who they're voting for and who their next judge is going to be. So that's why I'm running.
Follow up to that. Why do you believe you would be? Let me move on. What experience do you have as an attorney that makes you the best candidate? Let's talk about that.
So, as far as legal experience?
Yes, sir.
So, circuit court, deals with a lot of serious issues. So, on the criminal side, you're dealing with felonies. So you're dealing with the death penalty. You're also dealing with family cases, time sharing, child custody issues. You're doing dependency cases, multi-million-dollar lawsuits on the civil side, probate cases. So you're dealing with a lot of serious issues, and a lot of the circuit court stuff on the civil and the criminal side are jury trials. And even when they're non-jury trials, you still have attorneys on both sides battling it out. So if you've ever watched a trial or been in a trial or served as a juror, you'll notice the attorneys are making objections, legal objections, based on something the other side has said, the question that has been posed. They're making a legal objection, and the judge has to make a timely ruling on that, either sustain the objection or overrule the objection. So it takes years of experience trying cases to get light on your feet as a practitioner, to get to that point where you can hear half of the sentence come out of the mouth of the other side and already be ready with your objection. And as soon as that objection is made by the attorney, especially with a jury being present, you're going to have a judge that's light on his feet as well, that's going to be able to sustain or overrule that objection, so the trial can move along. That lack of experience in trials, which I've seen, unfortunately, it's a steep learning curve. So if you have a judge that's never tried cases or litigated cases, and gets on the bench, and all of a sudden they're presiding over jury trials, the learning curve for them is a little bit steeper. So all of the trials that I've done over the last 17 years, and all of the hearings, and and the different areas of law that I've handled, I've gotten extremely light on my feet. So that translates into being a more effective judge, particularly a trial court judge. And most of the circuit court matters are going to be trial. It doesn't even matter if it's a family law issue. If it's where there's no jury, it's a non-jury trial, and there's objections being made, the judge still has to make timely rulings and understand the law. So it's that experience, and I think it might get into some of your other questions, but I think what makes, you asked about experience, and I think I asked you was legal experience, but I think really what makes me the best candidate is it's a combination of life experiences, legal experience, and then that's kind of balanced with a great temperament. So when you're looking for a good judge, in my opinion, is you want a judge that has a lot of life experiences, a lot of legal experience, balanced with a great temperament that's calm, has a calm demeanor. And I possess those attributes. And for those very reasons, that's why I believe I'm the best candidate.
Okay, for those who are just joining us, Mr. Henderson is on Group 18. Am I correct?
Yes, sir.
Group 18. And so, Mr. Henderson, have you tried jury trials, and how many?
Yes, I've done a lot of jury trials. I stopped counting after 50, honestly. It's probably closer to 100. Not every jury trial actually goes to verdict. So sometimes that particular question is, how many jury trials have you done to verdict, where the jury has gone out, deliberated, and rendered a verdict. That's a little bit different than a jury trial where the other side has presented their case to the jury, and yet the evidence wasn't there, and the judge has dismissed the case. Whether it's a criminal or civil case, it's a different procedure, but the case could end there. Or I've actually seen cases where I've been in a trial. Maybe the case is not going well for the state. Maybe it's not going well for me, for my client. And there's a resolution made before the jury goes out and deliberates. So as far as jury trials, I stopped counting at 50. During my years as a public defender, I tried cases on a regular basis. I tried a lot of murder cases, and in private practice, I continued to try cases to juries.
Okay, let's do a follow-up to that. How many non-jury trials have you done?
Probably about 200 at least. We do a lot of non-jury trials in different areas of law. So, in family law cases, that's a non-jury trial. Injunctions are non-jury trials. Dependency cases, I've tried those. Those are non-jury trials. And there's a few other areas of law that also are non-jury trials. So I've probably done at least 200. I also have done, some federal defense work in the Middle District, criminal defense. And most people don't realize that we actually have a third court system in Florida. We all know we have the federal court system, we have our state court system, but there's also something called the Division of Administrative Hearings, or DOA for short. And they do all the administrative hearings that deal with the different government agencies in Florida. So, like discriminatory claims against landlords, things of that nature. And I've done non-jury trials. They don't have jury trials in DOA cases, so those are all non-jury, and I've done those as well.
Okay, awesome. We have an audience question, and you're going to tell me whether or not you can opine on it. Okay. So here it is. As a previous public defender, you have seen the incredible mountain low-income accused face. Will this affect the way you treat the indigent accused?
I didn't hear. I'm sorry, I didn't hear the first part of the question. Oh, it's right there. I can read it. Go to Mount Low Income. No, absolutely not. Someone's financial resources or financial ability have nothing to do with how I would preside or rule on cases. That has no place in a courtroom. Someone's financial, whether they're indigent or not, that absolutely has no bearing, and it shouldn't. And I haven't been a public defender for as long as I was, obviously representing indigent clients. One of the things that jurors cannot know is that they're being represented by a public defender, so that the jury is not prejudiced to think that you just never know. So the jurors are not allowed to be told by the state that Mr. Henderson or so and so is a public defender. And we, when I was a public defender, we actually had is it called the clothing bank, for lack of a better word. So when people are in custody and they're stuck in a jail uniform, if you will, obviously it's completely improper to have a trial with someone in custody in jail garb. So there's a clothing bank where we can dress them out in a suit. And the idea is that, the jury believes that this person is not in custody, that they're out of custody, and that they don't know that they're being represented by a public defender, to avoid any appearance of impropriety or possible prejudices that some of the jurors may have. So I'm cognizant of that, and should something like that come up in a trial where it's brought out that it was a criminal trial and it was brought out that my client was in custody. I mean, not my client, but the defendant was in custody. I would have to dismiss that case and have them restart the entire case, because that would prejudice the entire panel. So I know that's a long answer to that question, but I spent many years doing indigent defense work, so I'm pretty familiar with it, but definitely would not treat somebody differently.
Okay. He has another question. For accused violent offenders, where the evidence is substantial, are you in support of keeping them off the street? We have so many examples of repeat violent offenders still walking the streets and reoffending.
So that's a good question. I agree that violent offenders shouldn't be walking the streets. We all that. I agree with that 100%. There are quite a few laws and criminal procedure laws in place that are supposed to be applied. So, for example, if somebody is out on like a felony bond and they bond out and they go and they pick up another charge, the trial court judge can revoke the bond on the original felony and make it no bond. And it will stay at no bond until they are either plead to that original case or tried. So there are rules and regulations that judges have to follow. And there's also, enhancement penalties for, career criminals like habitual felony offender. There's quite a few of them: prison release reoffenders, violent career criminals. Those are designations of people who qualify based on their criminal history and their current charge that they're facing. So if convicted, they tend to have or can have a more substantial prison sentence. I hope I answered the question.
Great, thank you, sir. I have one more question here, and then we'll resume my line of questioning. How many more years have you practiced than your opponent?
So I was admitted in 2003, and my opponent, I believe, was admitted in 2012. So 9 years. Okay,
great. Good short answer. Thank you, sir. Are you board certified, sir, in any area of law?
No, I looked at getting board certified in criminal trial law when I went into private practice in 2010, and I specifically didn't decide to do that. I had the trials, the experience. I knew that I would pass the exam without a problem, but I didn't want to to people to look at me and say, this guy just does criminal defense work. And so I decided that I would not get board certified in criminal trial because I wanted to do other areas of law, like family law and, delinquency, dependency, and civil, and not be kind of like boxed into one area of law, if you will. But no, I'm not board certified, because I chose not to go that route.
Okay. What is the most significant case that you've worked on as a lawyer?
Well, honestly, every single case that I have worked on has been significant, and the reason I say that is it's significant to my client. So whether my client is a person or a company, usually it's a person. It's their life. It's affecting their life. It's affecting their family's life. It's affecting their friends. So it's about them. It's not about me. So I have handled cases that have been high-profile cases in the media, and I could talk about those. But again, to me, there is no one significant case. It's that every case it doesn't matter how trivial the charge is or trivial the issue is. If it's a small claims issue, it doesn't matter. It's this person's day in court and they're trying to get justice. So it's about them and getting them through the system and navigating them through their case and navigating them through the whole process. So again, I'm not going to pick one specific case because there's so many of them that I could talk about that I'm proud of. But I'm honestly, again, I'm proud of every single one of my cases because I've actually feel I've helped every single person I've represented.
Awesome. Thank you, sir. We have another question. It looks very long. I'm going to try to put it on the screen here. What are your thoughts about the current conditions of the foster care system in Brevard County? As a former foster child myself from a different state, the system was very unstable and unorganized, and thus children were affected greatly. I am curious to know your thoughts on the overall system here in Brevard.
Well, that's a good question. Pre-COVID, I do dependency cases, so I'm pretty familiar with, some of the foster parents. So, when I represent a parent and their child is placed in, outside the home in foster care, I personally have not seen any issues in Brevard with any of the foster parents. Are there problems? There could be, but me personally, I have not witnessed or seen any issues in Brevard County. We have had some pretty good judges on the dependency bench, and our current dependency judge is excellent. So if there are any issues, it's usually brought to the judge's attention pretty quickly, and not necessarily by the attorneys representing one of the parents. I've also seen it brought to the court's attention by the GAL attorney or the DCF attorney.
Awesome, great, thank you, sir. What kind of things do you do outside of the legal profession?
Other than campaigning?
Yes, sir.
I enjoy. I grew up on the beach. Not literally on the beach, but I grew up, in Cocoa Beach. So I love the water, and I love fishing. I used to do a lot of surfing. I'm not as coordinated as I used to be, but anytime I can get out in the water, or get to the beach or out on a boat, that's what I really enjoy. I also, really enjoy, traveling, and having lived overseas, I did have that opportunity to do, some very, very fortunate to have lived in a foreign country like I did. But and being an attorney is we work long hours, and we it's not uncommon to work 60, 70, 80 hours a week. So there's not a lot of time for downtime. So when we have the opportunity, it's usually a vacation somewhere tropical, preferably, and without cell phone service. But
Awesome. Thank you, sir. Talk to me about COVID. Besides COVID, what do you think is the biggest problem facing the court system today? And how will you handle, if you get elected, any jury trials or any non-jury trials when it comes to COVID?
Well, that's a good question. Pre-COVID, we already had some issues. The biggest, there's kind of two big issues that were presented before COVID. One was, access to justice or access to the court system. And the second one was resolving cases and getting hearing time. So, parties or litigants want to resolve their cases, or someone who's, indigent and wants to file suit and doesn't have the money to hire an attorney. There's an obstacle there, and there's not enough legal aid clinics. We have legal aid clinics, but they're underfunded. So that issue has been there all along. Now with COVID, what you have on top of all that is the fact that the Florida Supreme Court has suspended jury trials. So we can't do any criminal jury trials or civil jury trials. And there doesn't seem to be, it just keeps getting extended. So as a practitioner, we don't know when we're going to have trials again. We were scheduled to open, actually have trials on July 20th. I had actually a trial scheduled, and they were going to bring jurors in, and there was a system set up to do it. I didn't quite understand it at the time, but the Friday preceding that Monday, the 20th, there was an order that came out that suspended jury trials again. So it's kind of indefinite. I don't have a specific date when jury trials are going to be resuming. Some court is still going on. So, for example, injunctions are still being heard. In fact, I had an injunction hearing yesterday. And the way they're being done is, there'll be one at 9 o'clock, one at 10, one at 11. So they're staggered. There's still dependency cases that are being heard. And there's also delinquency cases, which are juveniles that have gotten in trouble. So those cases are being dealt with. So not everything is shut down. And then with like family cases and some of the civil cases, a lot of the hearings and even some of the trials and where evidence is being, it's challenging, but we're doing non-jury trials via Teams or like Zoom like this. But everything has to be planned in advance. So all your exhibits that you want to introduce, you have to send to the judge about a week in advance and to the other side. And it's challenging and it takes longer, but it can be done. So I'm not a fan of doing jury trials by video conferencing. And the reason I say that, I know it's been tried in a couple other counties or circuits, I apologize, and I don't think it's worked well. As a trial attorney, it is critical that the jury watch and listen to the witnesses, because the jury is responsible. They're the fact finders. So they're trying to determine who's telling the truth, what the truth is, and what happened. And the judge is making the legal decisions. So when you have people appearing by, video conference and a juror is watching them on a screen, it doesn't have the same effect because they don't see the body language. They don't see the hesitation answering the question. So it's just not as effective. And cross-examination of a witness, I think, is one of the most critical components of our justice system. So, that's how you ferret out the truth. It doesn't matter if it's civil, criminal, what kind of case it is. The cross-examination of a witness is where you are able to ferret out the truth. And that's only effective if you're able to do that in the courtroom where the jurors are watching. And all, if it's judges also have to sit there and watch the witness while the witness is testifying. And if you've ever been in a courtroom, that the judge is sitting there, and then the witness is right next to the judge, and then the jury is right next to the witness. So the judge is watching the witness, and then the jury is watching the witness as the witness is being questioned by both sides. And the judge is also gauging the credibility of the witness. So you can't really do that with video conferencing or Teams or Zoom. So I'm not a significant fan of it. If of course, if I'm ordered to do it as a judge, I'd be required to do it. I just haven't seen an effective system put in place yet for that. But non-jury trials are possible. Evidentiary hearings are possible. But prefer, those can be done by Teams or Zoom, but you still have the same kind of issue. But the difference is with the jury, the juries are the fact finders, and they're deciding, in a criminal case, guilt or innocence, and on a civil case, they're deciding, for the plaintiff or the respondent or defendant. On non-jury trials, the judge is the fact finder, and they're also making the legal decisions. So an experienced judge can probably, do a video conference and gauge the credibility of a witness over a monitor or a computer. In fact, in our courtrooms right now, we got these huge TVs, so the person is like, big on the screen. But I think with non-jury trials, those can resume a lot sooner. But as far as jury trial system, I wish I had an answer for you. I wish I knew the answer, because I have a lot of clients asking me that question, and I can't answer it. It's unfathomable, the problem.
Okay, sir. Thank you so much. Well, this was a lovely interview. It was nice and short, and I thank you for joining me tonight. And so, Mr. Henderson, I'm going to allow you to tell the residents of Palm Bay and beyond why you should be elected as a circuit judge for Group 18. So take it away.
Well, thank you, Kevin, and thank you everybody for watching, and those that might watch later. Do your research. If you compare the candidates, like I said earlier, I think, you're looking for a circuit judge that has the life experiences and the legal experiences and balanced with a great temperament, and I possess those. You also, I am cognizant of having been in the courtroom for 17 years. I've seen pretty much everything. So one of the things that I've always picked up on and noticed is all of my clients, doesn't matter what kind of case it is, they're always nervous coming in the courtroom, and nobody wants to be in the courthouse. Doesn't matter if you're a juror, a witness, one of the parties. So it's incumbent upon the judge to set the tone for the courtroom and treat everybody with dignity, respect, and there's nothing wrong with the judge smiling. I know we're dealing with serious matters, but I've had clients literally shaking before they go in the courtroom, and it doesn't matter what I say to calm them down or reassure them, they're still very nervous until the judge sets the tone. And it's very easy for a judge to do that and make people feel relaxed, and no one should ever feel intimidated in a courtroom. So if you look at my legal experience, my life experiences, and understand that I'm going to treat everybody that comes before me with dignity, respect, compassion, and empathy, I'm the right choice for Group 18, and I would love to have your vote on August 18th. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Mr. Henderson, for joining us. Great. Mr. Wickens, your question just came in. I don't know if you want to opine on it. It just came in. I literally just saw it pop on the screen. Do you want to take it?
I can probably
all right. Let's see if we can take it. I understand you can't make any changes yourself if elected, but do you have any thoughts on how to expedite the process of criminal trials? Defense lawyers love continuing trials forever. I'm asking from the POV of a victim wanting justice.
The point of view of a victim. Yes. So I've actually represented victims as a victims advocate attorney. So I'm kind of cognizant of that issue. and the way I would kind of, there, as a victim of a crime, there's an old saying, justice delayed is justice denied. So I think that, judges need to without COVID, we wouldn't be in this situation. But I'm a hardworking person, and I'm a hardworking attorney, and I'd be a hardworking judge. So I would run my docket very efficiently, and I would limit the continuances on cases so that they're not dragged out for years, because all that happens is the docket explodes, and it's not fair to either side. So I would be efficient, moving my docket, and without a really good reason to continue a case, I'm not gonna let the case keep dragging out. So, and that's the only way to reduce the trial docket. So I'm cognizant of that issue. I've represented victims, and also been a criminal defense attorney. So there is this presumption that defense attorneys continue cases, and a lot of us actually don't. A lot of us actually push our cases to trial to try and resolve them. So it's not always the defense side that's continuing cases. So I know there are defense attorneys that do that, but obviously COVID has exacerbated the situation, because we can't, unless you can get a plea offer from the state to resolve a criminal case, the case is just going to linger until we can have jury trials again.
Awesome. Great. Thank you, Mr. Henderson, for joining us again tonight. And we, Mr. Wickens still sending in questions, but we're going to wrap it up here, and maybe he will off. Do you want to take it, or do you want to? It's totally up to you.
I can give my email address, if that's okay.
Yeah, great.
It's steve@hendersonlegalgroup.com. Can I give my website?
Yes, sure.
You can also go on my website, www.steveforjudge.com. So it's the number 4, not FOR. So Steve, the number 4, judge.com. And you can send me a message through there, and I'd be happy to answer it.
Okay, great. All right. So we're going to let Mr. Henderson take off for the night. He had a long day. And please go ahead and send him your question as he requested that way, Mr. Wickens, and we'll take care of it. Do remember to join me next week, Tuesday night at 8 p.m. for our mayoral debates. Our mayoral debates will be live here, right here on the platform. We have a guest host coming in, Matt Reed, former Florida Today journalist. He's going to be coming in to host the debates. So please join us next week, Tuesday night at 8 p.m. for that. Hopefully we're not impacted by the weather, and the show will be able to go on. So please join me next Tuesday night at 8 p.m. for the mayoral debates. And have yourself a good night, Palm Bay. Talk to you soon.